Leadership isn't just changing, it's evolving in ways we're only just beginning to imagine. And women, we're not playing this game anymore. We're the ones reshaping the entire field, building models, movements, and businesses that serve more than just a few. On the She Leads podcast, you'll hear real conversations with women who've broken through all kinds of barriers: revenue, identity, borders, and expectations. There's no sugarcoating here, just the truth, told by those who are living it. I'm Adrienne Garland, entrepreneur, strategist, educator, and creator of live experiences, gathering women leaders together for over a decade. And this is the She Leads podcast. I'd like to kick off today's episode with a small request. If you haven't done so already, before you listen into this amazing episode that's to come, please pause and take just 2 minutes to give the show a 5-star rating and review. It's so important to share the journeys, wisdom, and lessons of the women entrepreneurs and leaders that we feature here on the She Leads podcast. And the best way to do that is to rate, review, and share this show with anyone who's interested in seeing more women leaders in this world. Thank you so much for helping to share our incredible show with more people. Now, I cannot wait to introduce you to my next guest. Her name is Anna Mazarsky, and she's the founder of PinkX PowerCore, the first tactical platform built to close the 2.3% funding gap from the inside out. With 2 decades of fundraising experience and 500 plus startups behind her, Anna doesn't teach confidence. She builds positioning systems that turn female founders into investor inevitable in 72 hours. Her work sits at the intersection of data, bias research, and combat-ready fundraising tools. The FLIP method, the 5 blockers framework, that's a mouthful, and the PowerCore platform, which arms founders with precision positioning, investor intelligence, and trap detection designed for a systemically biased VC ecosystem. Anna is building from Greece and as a solo founder and a mother of 3, because she is quite literally the founder she built for this. And, we talk about this all the time. Even though the system was not built for us, what we need to do is build anyway. So welcome to the She Leads podcast, Anna. I cannot wait to get into it with you.
Oh my God, Adrienne, first of all, I'm so excited to be on the show. And it is a mouthful. Now that hearing other people talk about it, it's like mind blowing. And sometimes I cannot believe that I'm doing that. So thank you for having me on this show and for the opportunity to speak with the powerful women that are listening in right now. And wow, we have so many things to talk about, but I just want to jump in from the start and say that the system is not you have so many data backed and research backed that the system is really not designed for women, and all of the pattern matching and all of the current devices that we have out there are for men, and the women that do succeed are the outliers. So it's really amazing that we have a podcast like you to have the next generation of role models and of women who are making it and succeeding to show that it is possible.
I can't wait to hear about how you started and how you started to think about this and how you went about creating a solution to this really complex, sticky, and ingrained problem that permeates our entire world. So let's wind back and tell the folks about who you are and how you got started.
Okay. It's kind of it's always the weird question because I'm from Kazakhstan, and I'm a former USSR Russian person who immigrated to Israel when I was little after the fall of the USSR. And now I'm living in Greece, in Thessaloniki, and raising 3 boys. And just as a side note, I always wanted to be a pharmacist, like a clinical pharmacist that like develops the drug for Alzheimer or something small like that. And I ended up in the fundraising world when I was 22, and I was a bartender who were looking for a part-time job, like to see daylight, because bartenders don't see daylight. And I ended up in a largest, like the Israeli largest charity as a part-time job. And I just fell in love with fundraising, fell in love with being with people, switched all of my dreams, switched my direction, and stayed in this world. And I'm there ever since, almost 2 decades, which nobody should know. Young forever. And to make a very long story short, it wasn't like I wasn't planning to be a fundraiser, but I happened to be one of the best at it. And I also managed like fundraising departments and outreach and globally and etc. And then I became an independent freelancer, and I fell flat on my face because nobody really teaches us how to make that switch from being a really successful manager in, like, in this high position, and like you think you're the queen of the world and everything will be easier. And then you say, so what's the problem? Will be like, I will start my own company. And so I failed miserably. Like, I think if I did not have the back, like my husband did not have my back, I don't know what I would have done, and probably would crawl back to being an employee. But once you go entrepreneur, like, this feeling, like you cannot really go back being an employee. Anyway, so then I fell flat, and I just started doing presentations like as a freelancer because I just needed to survive. And I was really good with presentations. And then I realized I'm really good with storytelling because I'm a fundraiser who is good with presentations. So I started working with startups, like, because startups is the future, and I really like helping, like you can take out the donations and the making a better place. But I don't know. And I always looked for good startups to work with and good founders that have good ideas. And I became really successful with creating storytelling and pitch decks. And then I started coaching my founders because most of them don't know how to present. So I started doing like the extra coaching. Like, it's like I'd never planned on like developing PinkX. I never thought I will do that. It's like, a thing leads to a lead. And then the COVID came, and I became a mom, and priorities shift and things shift. And then the third time a charm with my third, and then coaching. So I did like coaching, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoy working with my founders on the readiness side, on what to do, how to speak, what do you do when you answer. I used to sit in their ears when they were, like, literally, I used to sit in their ears when they were in the meeting with the investor, listening in. They're like, shh, now say this, now ask him this question. Like, when you see in the sci-fi movies, yeah, so the investor whisper. And it was hilarious, because you take all these like raw founders and you turn them into fundraisers. It's so, and I don't think they even see this transformation on themselves. Because like, like, no, you did the transformation. And then I had my third boy. I have 3 boys, by the way. It's so much different than to have 3 girls. But I have 3 boys. And I took the time off because we also moved to Greece, to Thessaloniki. So I had like, finally take a breathe and step out of the rut. And then I came across a small article across the Women's International Day about the 2.3% gap. And as a woman, as a mother, it really pissed me off. But then I spoke about it with my friends, and they said, yeah, but maybe there's not enough women in startups because there's not enough women in STEM, right? So I said, okay, maybe she's right. Let's dig in. I'm a very quick with numbers. I'm a very quick with data, especially with all of the, like, I used to do research for my clients. So I know how to do my research, my markets. So I started digging in, and I pulled another thread and pulled another thread. So it's like, it's not
And
that we
it's
have women, like
increasing
third
as
of
well.
the
More and more
startups are
women are
founded by
starting
women.
businesses. Yes.
Only 2% of the money. Yeah. And there are more and more. Like currently, half of the businesses in the US, half are started by women. half. So I started digging and digging and digging. And like, every that point makes me really more and more upset. Like really, I used to, you can ask my husband, I was like going around the house, like mumbling things to myself. This cannot be. We're being asked different questions. Why? Why did they ask that? Why are men are not
Yep.
being asked about like work-life balance? Why is it a question only directed at women?
Yep.
Like, why are we being interrupted more? Why are we being harassed more? And nobody's speaking about like going like networking event and then the investors like let's go to the hotel room and staring at your boobs the whole time instead of looking at the vision deck. And they're like so many points, and I was like literally like really really upset. And then I said, okay, now I was shifting all of my coaching only to work with women. And then another female friend, like only the female were the ones that like, because when men they trying to mansplain, I kind of like know how to judge them. But when it's like a woman friend who raises the bar and challenges me, I dig further. So
Right.
she said, yeah, but not another woman like program. I can't stand this anymore. Quote. And she's a friend that I value her opinion, this kind of like. And I think the old me would have stopped there.
Yeah.
The new me, the pissed one, said, now let's dig in more. Maybe she's right. Like,
More and more.
because there are funds, by the way, there are female focused funds. There's more and more. There's ton of
Yep.
LinkedIn posts about it, not only on March, but overall. There's so much money flowing from like Europe stuff and more. And you would think that will move the needle, right? Like you would think, okay, maybe there's no reason to be women focused, right? No. So basically, in the last decade, when all of this awareness, like the whole awareness started like something around 30 years ago. In 96, there was the first major research Harvard School published. And
In
it was around
1996.
2.4% of the funding. In 96, in 1996, around 2.4% something. And ever since, especially in the last decade, especially after PitchBook, which is like the standard for research and data on business and startups, they started publishing the gender aware differentiation around 2020. It was the first really documented heavy lifting. It hasn't moved. Like in the best year, when there was like an anomaly with one fund,
And
with
it's now
one
down to
major raise,
2.3.
it was
So
2.7%.
we've backslid.
So and it's even like, by the way,
Yeah.
it's even when you take out the anomalies,
Right.
we are 6%
Lem
of the deals and
Yeah.
only 2% of the money. Do you,
Right.
like if you're doing the math, we're getting smaller checks, even when for fun. So basically, I can talk about the numbers, but the bottom line is that I got more pissed, and then I said, okay, only women, but like me personally, I will not ever,
Right.
ever, ever be able to move the needle. Never if I'm alone. Never if I'm a coach. Never. Like there's so many coaches that I value and respect, and like I'm with them and they're doing an amazing job. But doing it solo will not change the needle. I can like,
Yeah.
even if I'm putting my kids on the side and I'm a very like hardcore mom, like super crazy hardcore mom. But yes, I did not expect that. But like, even if you put this aside, I can work with 50, like, and I'm going crazy right now. And then vibe coding came to life.
Before we go, I just want to dig in just a little bit to what your friend said about, hey, I don't want to be working with, women only businesses, or I don't want that perspective. What was the reasoning behind her comment?
The way she mentioned it is like, not another one. Because, like, on the surface, there's so much
Yep.
women oriented activities, which can say to those that really don't know the real stuff, it can say that maybe there's too much.
Or we're separating ourselves and not actually in the real game.
Hey everyone. So, for years, I've been working with Dr. Kent and sending people in my network his way. He does so much impact work. What do I mean by that? Well, he helps people create books and podcasts and things like that. He even helps with this podcast behind the scenes. Dr. Kent is my thought partner. Anyone listening knows that we all need to do what we can to get our thoughts, opinions, and voices out into the world, and how important it is for women to invest in other women and for women to hire other women. I am all about that, and you all know that. But in this case, I think Dr. Kent is an exception. He's doing something really different via this new program that he's launched called the Genius Discovery Program. So he wants to work with people like me and like you who are impact driven. Dr. Kent has an intensive program that goes for a month. He also has a 3-month program where he figures out where you're headed with your brand, your business, your speaking, and your signature story as a thought leader. I've known Dr. Kent for a long time. So believe me when I say that he has a ton of experience working with people that are looking to make an impact but might not know exactly how to approach that. So if you're interested in talking to him, you can go directly to talktokent.com, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at She Leads Media, or just shoot me an email over at hello@sheleadsmedia.com.
Exactly. And a side note about female-led VCs or female-focused VCs, like venture capital funds that invest only in women, they are more conservative. They invest
Mm,
less, their processes are more
yeah.
rigorous, and they're giving out relatively smaller checks. So, like, it's nice, it's good to have. Like, in none of what I do, I don't like fight them, but they're not enough because the real
Right now.
money and the real game is with the boys right now. And it will change. Like the way I see it, I know that I'm still small, but my vision is that we're 50% of the funding because, like, consider it in every other business. Again, I'm talking like it's a good thing that I'm coming from an investor background. Like I've sat in hundreds of meetings with
Mhm.
investors, so I know what they're looking for. I know what they're thinking for men and women. And it's true they have the pattern matching and they
Yes.
will view women differently, but also we ourselves are viewing ourselves differently. So we're kind of like, and I also spoke with women investors. Like last week, I had a talk with a female investor, and she just said, I think we're going to have a panel about it because she's
Oh,
coming from
no.
the, I don't see enough women that
Mhm.
are investable. So this is why I don't invest enough. In a way, she's right. In a way,
Yeah.
we don't come prepared because we're taking the same advices as men. So we are going to the same conventions as men. We're reading the same blogs as men, like, YC Combinator, like Y Combinator. They are the standard of venture capital advice and courses. They are for pattern matching men. And the women who make their courses or make their grade, they're still the outliers. They're still the 2.3%. And the thing is that most of the women in all of the researchers I found, 80% will be afraid or not think or stop themselves from approaching this channel of VC funding. And I think also in your listeners, like in the audience right now, I'm sure that there are women who already
Mhm.
have reached a certain growth level with their companies, like $1 million. We think it's wow, like, wow, we've reached 1 million, like it's huge. But you think about it, the guy next door
Yeah.
will probably say, okay, now
Right.
reached 1 million, so let's go raise 10 millions to make it 1 billion. And they will go and they will raise this 10 million. And in 5 years or 7 years, they will have $1 billion company. While we
Yeah.
are bootstrapping longer, we are taking less salaries for ourselves. We don't calculate ourselves, even when we are raising like a full salary that is really what we need. We are
Mhm.
financing for the conservative versus the visionary. We are very like, also we ourselves are limiting ourselves. And
right. Or maybe
like in 5 years,
Yeah.
you will be $1 billion, you will be 10 million. Because you went, maybe if you want close, because bootstrapping is usually the very hardest way of surviving. So it's also there. It's also in that shift that I think every woman in here that is listening to this should really run a check with herself. Am I VC eligible? Like, am I eligible for VC funding?
Mhm.
Can I scale? Do I have a big enough market capture? And if both of them, basically this is all, like if you have a really good market, and if your method of doing things is a scalable way, or can become scalable once you have enough money to make this shift.
Well, because it's
like,
really
why
goes
limit
back to
yourself
what's
to
ingrained
bootstrapping?
in us. We're the coupon cutters, we're the savers, we're the penny pinchers, we're the let's get a deal dealers, and it's I don't want to blame us for needing to shift our mindset, because I think that there's a lot of distraction that we also get caught up with. We blame ourselves, and then we try to fix ourselves, and then that's a whole entire lifelong pursuit that keeps us out of these, markets where we could actually scale. And I do think that part of it is mindset, but more the belief that you have the ability to have a scalable, investable company. Like, that is almost the baseline. That's something that I've seen a lot of men just take for granted. Of course I'm scalable. I just need the money to do it. I need 15 people and we're off to the races.
To make it,
Women
yeah.
don't necessarily talk like that, and I don't want to blame them. It is definitely societal programming that makes us think like that. But at a certain point, we have to break out of that so that we can become quote unquote investable. And that is also, I think, kind of confusing, because investable by investable for whom or by whom? I don't know. Right? Like, investable by male VCs, by women VCs. Is there a way to do this where we can fund our own growth and create our own funds and create our own ecosystem? I think there's a couple of different answers. Yeah. Okay. Talk to me about that.
Eventually, not now. Eventually, this will happen. Right now, we're too few. Like you mentioned it in the beginning of the program, when you're bringing also, or before that, when we spoke, there's not enough role models. Like, we have role models, but it's not enough. And we still, like, why the pattern matching is so much easier for men? Because we have, at the beginning, again, like economy, society, whatever, we had more men building companies. We had more men doing their exits, which the exit is either going public as an IPO or being sold to a bigger company for a really good profit. And then more founders having tons of money, like, this garage person all of a sudden has $1 billion in his bank account. So after he bought apartments to all of his family, he's still left with $500,000 lying and free. So he becomes an investor himself, an angel investors. Usually they start off with angels, and then they become either professional angels, or they start a fund, they join the fund, they put the money in the fund, they become VCs themselves. And with women, because we had a later start and we are smaller in numbers even in the start, and even when we are there, our exits are we have take less money from the exits because we signed worse terms. By the way, I created like a glossary just for that, for women, to stop signing worse, like bad terms, because we don't know some small difference that boom, in the exit cost us like $500,000. Just like that, 2 words. So start, like, so this is something that I also like as a side project. I'm giving it always for free. And like, so our cycle is really smaller. So to have enough ecosystem, which is only women led, is too soon, because this is why the current funds that are led by women and focused on women, they don't really manage to shift the needle, because it's too few. And like, even recently there was a big grant. Like, grant it's a fun start because it's non-dilutive. It means that you get the money and you don't have to give any percentage of your company for it. And Europe gave out like millions in, like, you think, wow, this is a big grant that they're giving out, but in the bottom line, they gave it like to 70 women. And each woman got, if I'm
They
not
can't even
mistaken,
hire anybody.
$25,000 euros.
Yeah.
And you know how many applied? But you know how many applied? It was specifically, this was for a deep tech solution, which means it's not femtech. It's not like the usual fashion tech, retail tech, things that are more feminine. Deep tech is a very male dominated startup system. And there was more than 1,100 women applied for this grant, and only 40 or 70, it's late in the afternoon, but like something,
25,000.
and they got like scraps. Like,
What
you
do you
need
do
2
with that?
million, you get 20, $30,000 euros. Like, it's nice. You get the recognition, right? You get your photos. We have the names of all of the grant chosen ones, but it's not enough to move the needle. It's not enough to make the change. And most of the current ecosystem for women by women, it's in that sphere. Like the woman, like the female founder, and I see it so much, like with the ask that I told you about also myself.
Yeah.
Like we automatically we ask for less. Why? So I'm kind of like, my challenge when I'm like, my old PinkX messaging is both on the mindset of like, it's a biased word, we need to play by other rules. Part of the rules is that you need to ask more, and then I'll help you to validate why, because women, if we're not
We get
validating first
dismissed.
why,
Yeah.
we will never be able to ask more. It's kind of like one of our shifts.
Yeah.
We are dismissing ourselves this like automatically. And then the tactical of like, win any room, and I want you to win the 15 million. I don't want you to go to the female friendly just because it's a good start. And it's always a soft landing of starting with the female friendly, but we need to win any room. Like, I want us really to win any room anywhere on the planet with the most
Okay, amazing.
mansplaining, bigoted VCs, because he has the $200 million check to sign for your
No.
round C. And I want to see that happen. And this is not happening. Like, we are getting the scraps, like we're getting half of the money. Like half
I
of the
have
paycheck. He gets 1
two,
million, we get 5.
well, maybe one thing to talk about and one question to ask. So, one of the things that I noticed is that and this is not across the board, but it's the thing that I think media pays a lot of attention to. Many of the women-owned companies that go on to be, billion-dollar unicorn companies, companies that, get funding, they happen to be companies that are doing something to minimize or transform who women are. So, an example of that, and this is not any shade because she did it, but for example, let's take Sarah Blakely. She's incredible. She had a great idea. She's such a hard worker, brilliant, all the kudos. She's amazing. But her product literally shrinks women, right? Same thing with Skims. Same thing with all of these makeup brands, right? All the things that make us not be who we are, those companies are being promoted in the media. They're being held up like, is this is what you should aspire to be. And, as much as I admire, because it takes hard work no matter what to to launch and grow a company and to scale it and all of those things. But women are so we hate ourselves and we do everything to transform ourselves for men or for society, and then those are the companies that are rewarded. And it when you really think about that, it's sickening.
Um, I'll tell you what as a startup perspective, because I really I like the way you paint it. I see this, right? Um, but again, these are the exceptions. I know so many women that are not being put in the front in the spotlight,
Yeah.
that are building like real health solution, femtech, which is like the
Yeah.
latest growth, like finally medicine and technology that addresses
Mhm.
specific unique needs of the female body that current solutions do not have. Like, right? I'm talking
Like a
about
positive health outcome,
the
longevity,
from not only positive. I'm not talking only about the health
but
apps
like
that we have. Like,
medical,
I forgot all of their names.
medical.
Everything. I'm blank. Three kids still haven't recovered. Yeah, but
Right.
like from knowing your symptoms and menopauses and periods and etc. and up to even being in hospitals and providing different solutions to heart attacks and heart problems, women versus men, because currently all of the
Yep.
drugs and all of the solutions are
Right.
designed for the male body and are not fully appropriate for women. So there are companies who are
They don't get the
changing
attention
that.
though.
But startup wise, they don't get the attention. And I'll tell you something about startup wise, right? A
Yep.
really good startup goes where there is a market need and where he or she have the solution
Yep.
to capture that market, and it's scalable.
Yep.
Scalable, and it can be so all of this three lead to the fact that it can become a unicorn. And like two outliers that I adore in this sphere, that unfortunately both have a mixed founding team, and they are the outliers that kind of like I
Mhm.
love them. They have Melanie from Canva, that she
No.
like change, and she doesn't get the media focus that Skims get, by the
All of
way,
us is
and it's
huge.
unfortunate because her impact on all of us. She took on Adobe,
You're right.
like she took on Adobe, she took on Microsoft. Like seriously, like she took out two giants. She made PowerPoint seem obsolete,
Yes.
and she made
Right.
Adobe seem like a huge dinosaur that nobody can work with. So we have Canva, which I like.
No.
I don't think she ever got a spotlight in the main media, and she made for the world and for all of us a huge thing. And the second one is actually kind of sort of being addressed and celebrated or vilified, depends who you ask.
Yes. Yes.
Daniela from Anthropic, Claude AI. Again, she is the co-founder with her brother. So both of these cases are very major outliers. Both of these cases will be like right now. If you will see that funding for mixed gender teams has grown, it's because we have her and another big raise, both
Which is
mixed
good.
genders.
I'm
Wait, like I sound very like I sound very upset because I'm still in my upset era, okay? And I'm still in the it really pisses me off and I'm not afraid to say it. And because most people are very nice about the funding gap. And it really also annoys me, especially Americans that are very like it's very social. It's like, no. So I'm going from that area. So we have two women that again are not being celebrated, and this whole thing of body positivity and body and menopause and perimenopause and blah, blah, blah. It's a very painful thing that I'm as a startup not going to fix it. And in a way, I it will be nice that somewhere along the track, again, we will have enough role models that are not focusing on our bodies or trying to change who we are, winning, and we will have more angels, more VCs, more influencers, more decision making people in all of the medias and governments, then I think we will be celebrated. But it's
Yeah.
also said something
Agreed.
about our society as a whole of focusing on bodies. And it also like this is a whole serious discussion of I'm seeing even small girls that are now being groomed on TikTok
Oh my
to
God,
put
it's so pathetic.
anti-wrinkle creams when they're
So
10 or 11 or
pathetic.
12.
It is scary.
It's pathetic, but it's scary. It's like for me, if I
Yeah.
had, I think if I was a mom
Your
to
level
girls,
of
I would be
pissed,
terrified.
this is
Like I would
nothing
be really terrified for
if
this
you
right
had
now.
girls.
Eh, Like really, because this is like I remember being a girl. Again, we had
Yep.
like we I grew up in the 90s, so we had like the heroin chic, you
Yeah.
remember? With Kate Moss. What was her name? Kate Moss. And all of the supermodels. Right now, we don't have supermodels
Right.
because this way, at least, we have Bootylicious, which is more common. But still, like the focus on the body, it's something that it's
And
very
it
like
distracts
pervasive in our
us from
society and
doing
becomes more
the
and more and more
important work.
pervasive. And
Where
we can
we
talk
try to, we're trying to change ourselves or trying to be something that we're
yeah,
not because these pictures are painted for us that say you have to be this. And when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we're like, well, wait a minute, I'm not like that. And so it serves, I think it serves patriarchy beautifully because it keeps us out of the system because we're so focused on, tearing ourselves down and making ourselves
exactly.
up to try and get a handout from the people that have the money. And it's so sad. It really is. And this is not just about, feminism or anything like that. This is about your overall well-being. It's about the well-being of the world, of society, of the environment, because women, when we are the ones that actually have the money and the resources, we do good things with it. So when we're kept out of it, we can't do good things. And I think more and more
Exactly.
women and young people need to understand that this is what's going on. It's like they just need to be, shown the light almost like what you're doing. This is the greater implication of it. Because I don't think that women would choose to say, no, 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 I'm going to focus on, doing my makeup. I think women are smarter than that. I really do.
If the thing is, like, you know
Yeah.
what? It's been like, it is a lonely journey once you go on it. And I think in this way, women need this support. Like with all the research, again, I told you I kept digging, like 92% of the women that are going to
Yeah.
fundraise report severe exhaustion
Mm.
compared to like 50 or 60% of the like of men and 50% of the women being harassed. When you're good looking men, it serves you good and you will get better funding and better terms versus if you're a good
Yeah.
looking woman, it doesn't affect you and it can even penalize you. And like it's all research by the way. And when we go into meetings and planning, like the guy goes in and thinks about his speech, right? He thinks about the Q&A, thinks about the company. When we go in the room, I call it the invisible tax. We have additional 8 layers of even responsibility for our female women. Like, it's part of the layers.
Yeah.
If I fail, it reflects on all the women
No.
that come after me. If
Yeah.
I succeed, by the
Yeah.
way, it doesn't change anything. No, literally. Like women that are exiting will still raise less and it will not
Yeah.
affect the other
And we have
guy
to also
looking at
be
all the female founders
perfect, and I
differently.
think we can talk about this ad
So,
nauseam. All of the words and the language that we use is also, it also signals our potential or lack thereof. We have to focus on what we've done in the past, not the potential for what we can do in the future, which is what men talk about. They talk about where they're going, and women talk about where they've been and what they've learned from it. It's oh gosh, it's infuriating. And actually, I recorded another podcast yesterday with somebody who's amazing, and she talks all about neuroscience and the way that we talk to ourselves and everything. So I have that on the top of my mind. But I was telling her, and I'll share this story again because I think it's worth repeating.
Wow.
I'm taking this class from a company called IDEO, and it's a design thinking and AI class, and it's fascinating and it's amazing, and I love it. And I love the people that I'm with and all of it. But one of the instructors is this really brilliant man. His mind works so fast, and the way he explains things is incredible. But he's really fast. And so as he's kind of instructing us, he's also using AI alongside of what he's doing. And he's typing in, all of these things. And he's really, really messy, and he doesn't spell anything right, and he just goes, and he gets all these results, and he goes on to the next thing, and blah, blah, blah. And it's amazing, and it's hard to follow a lot of times, but it's incredible. So we did something the other day where one of the students, who's also a brilliant woman, she was copying and pasting the prompts in to see what type of outcome we got and everything. She's pasting it in. She's backspacing, making sure that the comma is in the right place. If a word was spelled wrong, she went back in, she corrected it, made sure that this made sense before she hit return. Now, David, the instructor, he wouldn't have cared. He bang, 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 faster, 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 outcome quicker, failure quicker, but also correction quicker.
Outcome.
Yeah.
It's the
And the
80% of
difference,
something
like
is
this
better than
stark
100%
difference
of nothing.
between him and her,
And
like jumped out of the screen at me. I was like, this is part of the problem. Yeah.
it's like, but this caution is a symptom of a deeper disbelief in ourselves. Usually, like this type of extreme, and it also shows with the way we like show up for meetings with startups. Again, because I'm living the startup world, and also in business. Like once you reach a point when you
Yes.
have $1 million business, you need to play another game. You cannot play the safe. I'm in a safe game. Like if you really want to make it big, and I think if you because to make a $1 million game, you have to already have a team, and you have to have responsibilities and obligations and the marketing, customers, and etc. etc.
Yeah.
And like it takes courage. Like going into business, it takes courage. When I left my secure, though not highly paying but still secure, safe job in a very high position, it took guts. So this is why I think still only 30% of the founders are female, but it's still 30%. It means that there are currently something like tens of thousands of
Yes.
women out there who already have
Yes.
this inner courage of thinking differently. However, these women, once they have this point, they
Yeah.
need to understand that they are playing
Yeah.
a different set of rules. Like really need to understand. They need to understand that they cannot fake it until you make it in the startups. They need, like, there are ways. Maybe I'm hallucinating, and maybe I made up something that's not really, like, I don't know. I hope I'm not hallucinating, and that my courage and my really belief in what I'm doing will manifest into having 50% of the women funded. But even if we will not be 50% of the founders, because we are a better return on asset, this is why I want us to be half of the, because like mathematically wise, if you put gender aside, like Jen Potter mentioned aside, they should be spending more money on women versus on men, just because we are
Yes.
better investment, like we're better ROI across the boards. So if you're like, this is why it's illogical. This is why they're throwing the $1.3 trillion on the table, because they're investing in the wrong type of investment asset. Like you would go to the stock market. No, I want to invest in the worst
But the
performing
logic doesn't
stock.
hold.
No, you want to
Yeah.
invest in the better
Yeah.
performing stock. Same here. However, we women need to show up differently. We need to understand that the rules we are playing are not the same. And I think that one of the reasons that all of the initiatives so far, so I'm kind of like pitching you. So if there are investors, no kidding. But I have a story about this later, by the way, if we will have time. One of the things, we need to understand different rules. We need to show up differently. We need to anticipate that we're going to be asked different questions, and we have to have like prevention defense questions, and we have to have the flip to really link it to our strengths and pivot to vision, because vision sells. You mentioned it before. The investors invest the big money in the vision, and we come conservatives. So we need to stop being conservative. It requires a mindset shift that I'm not going to provide like as a coach because it's too long, but I will provide you with the tools. And I think like every woman across the world, at least these tools of knowing how to create this outer belief that will make you believe in yourself. So like, we take for granted our experiences. No, I just did this. But no, if you really paint it and you put it against what investor look for, you have the proof of why you are the one who lead this. And then look at the market. If you will just know how to color the way the market is, the right market is big enough, it's for you to capture, and now nobody else will like compete with you, and because you're doing something else, they will run for you. The investors will jump on you because they will understand. You will command the room differently, not as a woman, not as a man, as a special. And you know what? It's upsetting because we need to work harder, because we have to have this other set of tools. But this is the way we have to win, so be it, because we are still the outliers, and even those 30% are still the outliers. And we need to understand that we can ask for VC money, and it means that we will be giving percentage of our companies.
Yeah.
But we will get a bigger pie. So our piece will be smaller.
Right.
But again, 80% of something is better than 100% of nothing. So you will have
Yes.
80% of a billion
Can I ask
versus
you to
100%
just
of a
talk
million.
a bit about PinkX
And
and what it is and how people can join it, if that's the right word?
they eventually it will be join it. It will become a movement. Currently, it's a solution, but it's like a solution with a movement in it. Like
Right.
so basically, you remember when I told you that I cannot coach everyone, and I need to scale, and I need to democratize. So PinkX is basically my democratization of a bias busting, self-guided, hyper personalized platform, which basically it's a digital platform that has a power Anna inside that will knock the shit out of you for asking
And
less.
so people
And she did it to
how do
me.
they get access?
Women, by
Yes.
the way, I get it all the time. Men can also use the platform. It's not like but it's all pink on purpose. It's not girly pink. And it's specifically like, I really want to differentiate. Like, really, guys come to me and say, but why am I a guy? I
Right.
also want these tools.
And so how can
Cannot use
people
them?
get
But
access
you
to the
can, but I don't
platform?
want you to. So they can go online to
Great.
PinkX Power, which is pinkxpwr.com. And they have so many free resources that they can do, like practice how to flip questions or the glossary and everything. But if they really want to do the entire hyper personalized, like I went crazy with it, most people use vibe coding to build landing pages. I created like this whole mega craziness. Sometimes I cannot believe that I constructed this. Like really, a year ago, I had to have like a team of 15 developers and $2 million
Amazing.
in seed funding to do what I did now in less than a year. So crazy. So, and they go online, they sign up, they can go for the free one or the full power one, which is only $997. And I made it affordable on purpose. Like, don't go and pay a coach $10,000 that is not bias aware, that will be limited on time and will create a dependable. It will become dependable, somebody external. Go get the tools, build your positioning, build your personal authority, business authority, market authority. Discover first what's blocking you. You mentioned the 5 blockers. It's on purpose. Like, there is a special assessment that you're doing. At least see if you need to start with your authority, you need to start with improving your story. If you need to start with, maybe you're not approaching the right investors, like you're not practicing the right investors. You don't know how to answer defensible questions. So you're already getting in the room, but you're failing. You're pressured on time, by the way. It's also a blocker. Like, somebody whose runway is 2 months, she will pitch worse. She will pitch to the wrong investors. And if she will get the investment, she will sign worse terms. So basically, the way I did it, I mapped every bias, every challenge. I maybe sometimes people say I overdid it, but I'm an overdoer, so I like it. And it's so easy nowadays. And once I nailed how it all connects and how it all works, it's just easy, like for me at least. And then anyone can go there, and she can even start with, am I asking too little? This is my favorite free calculator. And like I've told you that I got my ass kicked by my power Anna, because I wanted to have the personal experience, because I don't want it to be like another ChatGPT that doesn't really understand the systematic challenges versus like you. And the more you, the founder, use it, so the more the system is better prepared to help you. And I also even have like a list of 7,000 verified investors that I partnered with Mid Capital, that they have like verified investors list. And I have an internal AI matching that gets you only your 100 or 200 targeted investors. Don't spend your time looking and spending energy and raising for 6 months from irrelevant investors. Focus on those that will fund you. Get the data, get the outreach scripts, know what to write to them, how to write to them. If it's a follow up, it's first meeting, LinkedIn, email. Like, I really outdid this. I really outdid. And like, this is now, and I specifically did it like less than $1,000 for lifetime. It's not something monthly. It's not like you go, you get everything unlimited, because we need it. Like, we need to practice how to answer Q&As that are defensible. I did it 2 weeks ago. Like, and I didn't practice in a month. Next meeting, I have to practice it before the meeting. So this is why, like, forever, for every raise. And my vision, by the way, for the future, once we grow enough, this list of investors, like every woman who goes to a meeting and meets a womanizer or meets a really good investor, she can grade that investor on their professionalism and on their approach to female founders. Did he invite you to his hotel room after the networking meeting? Did he ask you appropriate questions or did he ask you about his kids? Like, did he stare at your boobs the entire meeting versus at your pitch deck? And these are things that currently we don't have any safe space to share, because once we share,
let me
we're
just
being
say one thing here. I also think that in addition to women who are, thinking about funding and needing this guidance, I also think that women need to educate themselves on this whole entire process earlier on, way before they even need it. Even if it's sort of a thought experiment and they come up with a false company that they just want to use this to run through so that they can practice. Because this is also part of the problem. We try so much to educate ourselves in the moment that it's such high stakes. So if we can practice in a lower stakes environment before we actually need it, when we need it, it's sort of round two. Okay, this is real now. we're going to feel a lot more comfortable, and that's going to show up in the room.
Of course. Of course. This is part of it. This is why I have all these free tools. Like, because not anyone, not every female
Right.
founder is ready for her raise or ready to invest like a $900 in it. So I have a lot of free tools, and you're giving me an idea
I'm
for a
full of
book,
them.
by the way, specifically for that point, which thank you. And like, it's amazing now, like, because we need this kind of like, am I investable? Am I ready to be invested? I don't think there's even like a book self-guide. Am I like, you're giving me so many ideas about it. And eventually,
To
like
me,
my
yep.
dream is to reach teenage girls. I think I mentioned this to you. Like, last month I went to my son's school. He's in second grade. They had this
Yeah.
whole like thematic of getting to know of the professions in our surrounding thing, and it has an amazing school. And all of the parents were invited and to come and share their companies or what they're doing professions with the kids. And there's like 7, 8 years
Pitch.
old. And I said, okay, this is my
Yes.
opportunity to plant that startup seed in all of the girls in his class, like, so I was like thinking, how am I doing it? So I made this whole startup
Wow.
thing be super like visual and colorful, and I actually did like amazing. I really need to replicate it because it was such an amazing thing that even one of the parents of the girls, she came to me and
Amazing.
said that Malina is talking about. It's like, yes, I need one to understand. First, I
Oh,
understood that girls get less and that I'm changing the fact that girls get less. And two, we need more girls, and we need more girls to be brave. And I actually got them to think of a startup and find, like, it was a really fun activity. And like, we need to plant these seeds. Like, we need to have a Netflix
yeah.
kids show of women who are building incredible ideas. Like, be the next inventor, and be the next how to invest. Like, so this is like in my future
I love it.
planning. Eventually, we will also have a Netflix, so Power Anna, that will share how girls can, and boys if you really want to, but I want you as a girl to come and think of this crazy idea that nobody around you will believe, because
Yeah.
like I told this before, being a startup founder is so lonely. And currently, also another thing that will come once we'll grow, or today if you need, like a safe place to just come and share all the hardship of being a
Very
female
difficult.
founder. Like, because being a startup founder is really hard. Like, no matter if you're a man or a woman, it's a really hard thing. Like, I I work with, I don't know, I stopped counting at around 500. I worked with more than 500, I think even around 800. I just stopped counting because my computer crashed. And in 2017, my computer crashed and all of the data with it, or 20. So it was sad, but like, it's very lonely. And I think men in this
Yeah, that yeah.
retrospect,
Yeah,
they are
they're
less
sort of used
affected by
to it.
being
Women
lonely.
need to
It less
definitely be in
bothers them.
community with one another.
And and we need to have the
Yes.
community, and we need to have, like, is when you're becoming a mother, it takes a village. Like, this, it takes a village. And only after I became a mom for the second time, I managed to build this village. So now I'm also, when I moved here and I started becoming a female founder, like for real, not as a personal private one-on-one coach founder, but I became like mindset. I had to shift my mindset to become a founder. I had to go through the process that right now PinkX is doing. I had to ask her, yeah, I want to raise 500, like, for this mental, like what you did. I did it like I did it to test the program, but I said, okay, I want to raise 500,000. And then my power runner said, yeah, but men in your market and your positioning
Interesting.
and your solution and your would have raised 2 million. So the only question is, Anna, why aren't you raising
Anna,
this? And I'm like sitting there, did I just
you just
get
got Anna.
my, like, I'm a living user.
Yes, exactly.
On my own
so
platform.
let me end our conversation
just got
here
Anna.
because we are way over and I love it. And I feel like what I would love to do is I know forever. So what I'd like to
I
do
can
is
talk with
definitely
you like,
have
yeah, it's
you
like I
back
can talk about it.
on. And I just want to encourage
Yes.
everybody that's listening to go to PinkXPower.com, and we will put that in the show notes so you know exactly what link to go to. Check it out. Check out the free resources. You can connect with Anna on LinkedIn as well. She's there, and I am just
LinkedIn.
thrilled by this conversation. It has covered so many different topics, and I appreciate you so much and everything that you're doing and everything that you're building. So we'll find a great time for you to come back on and talk about all of the different people that have joined the platform and some of the insights that you have been able to get from what women are doing. So, thank you so much for spending your time with us here today
Awesome.
on the She Leads podcast.
And thank you so much for having this podcast. We need more voices. We need this podcast. We need these role models, and we need to hear the stories because, like, this is the way I had my mind shift. Like from listening to podcasts, listening to you, listening to your guests. So thank you for having me, and thank you for having this podcast. You change lives. You never know what the ripple will go to, and I really, really hope like send all your questions to me, feel free, and like really hope that like at least even one listener will shift
We've done our
from
job.
being a bootstrapping founder to a funded
Okay, Anna,
unicorn.
thank you so much.
We've done our job. Def- Thank you so much, Adrian. Thank you.
If this conversation moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently, please take a moment to leave a 5-star rating and review. It's not just about boosting the show, it's about amplifying the voices of women entrepreneurs who are leading with vision, building with purpose, and shaping what's next. We need more of these conversations in the world right now, don't you think? And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who matters to you, send this episode to them. If there's something on your mind about leadership, legacy, or what's next, I want to hear it. Head to sheleadsmedia.com/voice and leave a voice memo or note. Your insight might just help shape a future episode. Make sure to follow the show and come back next week for more conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Thank you so much for listening. This is the She Leads Podcast Network.